This What's Working with Cam Marston podcast is brought to you courtesy of Michelob Ultra Beer.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is brought to you by the Alabama Center for Real Estate at the Culverhouse College of Business at the University of Alabama. This is the radio show and podcast designed to find the workplace, the workforce, and the marketplace trends, shaping the workplace and the workforce and the marketplace around us, all for the benefit of Alabama business. Our show continues to grow. Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, and Mobile. Very happy to be present in each of these markets and always very curious of what you think and how we can make this show a little bit better for you. Today is a check-in show. I go back to many of the guests. We were going to feature 3 today that really struck me in some way or another, and I'm curious about how their business is doing, how their marketplace is doing. They were on the forefront of something fairly large, or they were dealing with some economic pressures. So what we're going to hear from today, or who we're going to hear from today, is first Carla Williams. When I spoke to Carla, I guess it was back late summer now, she was on the verge of releasing her album. Carla has decided to pursue her passion of becoming a country music singer, and her album is a tribute to Karen Carpenter, and I'm watching her on social media, and it's climbing in the charts, particularly in London, which is really very interesting. We'll move from Carla to Bert Scarbrough. Bert was in the studio with me. We talked about the prices of lumber and particularly the pricing of hardwood, which is what Bert's expertise is in. And he shares with us some of the challenges that are shaping his marketplace today. You'd never think that Vladimir Putin's decisions would impact Bert here in South Alabama. They are. And finally, we'll finish up with Billy Stitt, perhaps one of my favorites, just because his product, Billy's Bacon, is absolutely delicious. It's absolutely delicious. It is the world's greatest bacon. And we're going to talk to Billy about what marketplace forces are shaping the things he does out there. And it's just always a treat to check in with Billy and to frankly wake up, and for me, it's on a Saturday or Sunday morning, put a pound of his bacon in the skillet or in the oven, and it's always a treat in my household when we get to have Billy's Bacon. So when we come back from break, I'll be talking to Carla Williams. She's in Nashville, calling on her in Nashville, where she's doing more work to promote her album, which again is proving to be very successful. Before break, though, I want to mention the folks at Sandifer Wealth Management. Today, about 1 out of every 4 65-year-olds will live past the age of 90. Therefore, it's important to work with a professional to develop a plan for you or your loved one's long-time care. Long-time care. I've recently had an incident with this, folks, by the way, personal in the family. Long-term care is becoming more and more relevant to our world out there. And if it's something that you need to think about, call the good folks at Sandifer Wealth Management. Jamie Sandifer, Mark Salyers, friends of mine, will do you right. They're on Old Shell Road here in Mobile. You can find them online at Sandifer Wealth Management, and you can communicate with them through that online portal, or certainly their phone number's there, and you can reach out to them there. They are financial advisors who I am quite fond of, quite frankly. When we come back, I'll have Carla Williams on the phone with me. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is brought to you by the Alabama Center for Real Estate at the Culverhouse College of Business at the University of Alabama.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, in Mobile at 666-1616.
What's Working is brought to you by the Alabama Center for Real Estate, housed in the Culver House College of Business at the University of Alabama. On the line with me is Carla Williams. She was a guest in the late summer of last year, I think. She had just finished working on an album. That album has since been put out there. I went to the album release party in Mobile, which was really cool. I'd never done anything like that before. And we're talking to her today in Nashville. Carla, thank you so much for your time. Welcome back to What's Working.
Thanks, Kim. Glad to be back on.
I am happy for your success. In fact, I bought an album that night at the party, had you sign it, and it is in a prominent place in my office as a sign of perseverance. Just look at this, and here's a woman who's done it and is having some great success with it. Tell the listeners what's happened since we spoke last summer. What's going on with you today?
Yeah, everything's going well. The album released on January the 28th, and it has just been a whirlwind ever since. We just hit the door running. We have started climbing charts in the UK with the Sir Cliff Richard song and that he and I did called Hurting Each Other. And so it is just kind of really blown up over there in London and those areas. And that's been great. Interviews are still taking place. Shows are being booked. So much traction from this album is going on right now. And it's just been good. The response has been absolutely incredible so far. And so we're just very lucky right now and very blessed for what's going on.
So the album, for the listeners to remind them, is a tribute to the Carpenters. And it goes back to some comments that people who heard you sing said, you sound uncannily like Karen Carpenter, and you've created a Carpenters tribute album. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And
that is correct.
What are the people who are hearing these songs, who remember the Carpenters from back in the day? What are they sharing with you as your album is now is out in the public and people are able to download it and purchase the CDs? What are they saying?
Yeah, I tell you, the messages that I get on a daily basis are so life-changing for me, so heartwarming. And it's honestly people from every age and every generation of life. And but the main thing that they talk about is how many memories it brought back to them from their childhood or their teenage years, or certain songs that reminded them of certain and special times in their lives, whether it was their wedding day or things like that. So the kind words and the loving response that I have received already from people literally across the world, from Australia to New Zealand, to Germany, right here in the U.S. It's just been phenomenal so far of the things that people are saying and actually just how thrilled they are to hear the music again. That's great. Tell me about album promotion. Now that you've got this thing out there available to sell, what are you doing to try to get it out there in the minds of the public? What does album promotion look like? Yeah, and so much of the world these days is social media. And so we utilize those platforms and we push and market all over all of my social media platforms, from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter to YouTube. So we definitely utilize those types of areas to do that. I have a promotion team. I have a manager, a publicist that are doing the same. And they're in their certain, arenas and the work that they do. And kind of like the release party, we'll have it set up at shows and people are able to purchase that. And then we push my online store pretty hard as well. So my distributors, they have set up a wonderful online store for me that you can go in and buy the vinyl or the CD. And I think it may also have a link on there to buy it digitally as well. So, you just have to push it really hard. Every person involved and every platform platform that there is to push. And because honestly, there for a while, digital was where it was. And so no one was buying vinyl and no one was buying CDs. And it's funny because no one had anything to play them on anymore.
Right.
And, thank goodness the world's turning around a lot in that area. And, vinyl is being sold. People are, buying turntables again and CD players and things like that. So it's pretty incredible that the actual physical, tangible product is actually, in demand right now.
If you had to tell me, if you ask me, Cam, go put your hand on a turntable and then go put your hands on a CD player, I would have a harder time finding a CD player than a turntable. Right. The vintage, if that's even the word, but the vintage equipment, the turntable seems to be more prominent today than the CD. Now, when you and I spoke in the studio, one of the things that I was most curious about is how the business side of this thing works. And you were very generous to explain that to us. One of the things I feel like I remember you saying was that there's very little revenue generated from a digital download. I mean, it's like pennies or something like that from downloading your album. But you can make some money on the vinyl. You can make some money on the CD. But the key is performance, is audiences. Is that what you're experiencing now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, when you start working with third parties, when you work with a Spotify or iTunes or Apple Music and things like that, or Amazon, and so much of that is streaming as well. But when you get into the whole downloads and things like that, and so you are on a platform of like a TuneCore that actually houses all of that for you to be distributed out there to your iTunes and your Spotify's, and how people can look it up and purchase the whole album or do a stream. It's crazy how it all works. And so when third parties are involved, they take a percentage of it, but even in physical, distribution as well. I have an amazing distribution team. But the business side of it, you're definitely going to see more of a profit on the actual physical product versus the digital, unfortunately these days, but that's just how it works. But that's a good thing. We've got plenty of product and they're selling it like crazy right now, which is wonderful.
So you had, I remember seeing you had 2 performances scheduled for Mobile, both of which sold out. Did I see that you had a third as well?
That's right. That was so exciting. And I knew that, being, accepted and wanted to be heard in my hometown, that's so special to me. And, it's a smaller venue, but that first show sold out very quickly. The second show sold out in about 18 minutes. So there was a demand for a third show. So we've just put a third show, both of those, the first 2 are in April 8th and April 10th at the People's Room of Mobile, which is Jim Pennington. He's the owner of that. It's absolutely wonderful to work with. And then June the 10th, we will come back and do a third show.
Do you see a trip to London to satiate the need of your fans over there with Sir Cliff Richard?
Absolutely. Yeah, we are working currently right now with a great talent agent over in the UK. And so we are going to start getting those shows booked and as well as more shows here in the U.S.
That's great. It sounds like you're busy out there. What has surprised you?
We are.
What has surprised you the most, Carla, since finishing this album, releasing it to the public, allowing the public to feedback to you? What continues to catch you off guard about this process?
I think just the acceptance of it more than anything. Your biggest fear when you go in and do, a lot of us can go in and do our own music and do our own records and pick out our own songs, whether we've written them or whether it's just something that we chose from someone else's catalog. But when you go in and you do a tribute album to someone so legendary, it's a little terrifying. It's a little terrifying that people will take it the wrong way, that people will think that I'm trying to copy her, imitate her, and things like that, which has been the total opposite of anything that I've experienced. And, and it says a lot when you don't have one negative comment, in 2.5 years in the making of this album. And it's just been wonderful. Everyone's been so wonderful. And the comments and the love behind this album and the way that people have embraced it has just been incredible, because that was my number one goal. It was never about me becoming the next Karen Carpenter. It was always about me paying honor and respect to her and the legend and the icon that she was, her and Richard both.
So you're living this high right now, it sounds like, and I've loved watching it, by the way, Carla. I'd love to have somewhat of a front row seat in this and being able to talk to you about it and coming to that party, which I got that wonderful drumstick favor from. I loved every bit of it. This is a world that I've not experienced before. And I don't want to be the downer, but there's always a come down on the other side of these things. At least I give a presentation. The audience is very appreciative of it. And then it gets quiet. You get back in your car, you get on the airplane, and it gets quiet. Tell me how you're preparing for what inevitably the crest will fall at some point. You're a mature person. Tell me how you're preparing for that.
Well, and I feel like it's kind of like you say, I feel like that's with everything in life. And yeah, it is a high right now. It is everything is just bouncing off the walls, and we're all so overwhelmed trying to keep up. But there will be those days. And you know what, at the end of the day, I can look back at any point in time of this project and in my life and just be very proud of what I've accomplished, and just the honor of being asked to do this album in the first place is more than I could have ever asked for anyway. So, and her legacy will live on, no matter if it's if I stop singing all of this music in 20 years from now or 2 years from now, her legacy will live on. And that's the biggest goal for all of us on my team, is for that to happen.
I feature Carla in one of the chapters of the forthcoming book that we've got working right now. Carla, that book should be out in early April if everything goes as planned. I cannot wait to get you a copy of it. You're an inspiration for me. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your work there in Nashville. We'll check in with you again.
Thank you, Cam.
We'll go to break now. What's Working is presented by the Alabama Center for Real Estate at the University of Alabama. I'm Cam Marston. You're listening to What's Working. We'll be right back.
A cool thing happened back in '64. That's when Keith Air Conditioning opened their doors.
In my family, turn to the experts is more than a tagline. It's a promise. Every Keith technician is an experienced AC professional, and that saves you money. Speaking of money, how about 0% financing for up to 60 months on installations of new Carrier systems? Keith and Carrier, turn to the experts.
Mobile's leading name in comfort since 1964.
License number 83731.
Customer service never goes out of style. In fact, I think it's safe to say that customer service is more valuable and more important now more than ever. Hi, this is Cam Marston. One thing that my over 200 episodes of What's Working has taught me is how important customer service is to building and maintaining a thriving business. It's the growing need for customer service that's led me to partner with one of the state's leading customer service trainers to create our program called Delivering 5-Star Customer Service. Your team will get one 90-minute training session per month for 6 consecutive months. Each session builds on the skills learned the previous month, allowing your customer-facing teams to practice before moving on to the next lesson. And the 6 lessons address everything from appearance to electronic communications to conflict resolution to maintaining a service mindset. Our program travels and is delivered in person at your workplace, nothing virtual. You simply can't practice the level of the skills this course teaches virtually. For more information, email me, cam@cammarston.com, and let's schedule a time to talk. Remember, you have less to fear from outside competition than you do from discourtesy and bad service from inside your own company. Again, email me, cam@cammarston.com, and let's talk about your business. What's Working is presented by the Alabama Center for Real Estate, housed in the Culverhouse College of Business at the University of Alabama. On the line with me is Bert Scarbrough. I think it was maybe April, May, June of last year that Bert and I were in the studio together talking about the price of lumber, particularly the price of hardwood. It was at extraordinary highs at that point. Now, coming up on a year later, we've got political disruption in Europe. We've got incredibly high inflation, and I'm curious what any of this has done to lumber prices. Bert, thank you for your time. Welcome back to What's Working, my friend.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's really an interesting time in the lumber business. And according to our last show, kind of where we left it, we kind of gave, well, you might see a little bit of a pullback in price, but till the shipping and the labor costs come down, lumber will still remain high, which is almost exactly what I have seen in the market. In the real world market, I mean, you can predict, but it's like predicting the stock market. But we were pretty much dead on at the end of that last show, especially with the poplar. When we did the show, we were seeing poplar, a huge increase in the price of poplar. We were, and I remember saying, well, you'll see a little bit of a pullback when supply picks up, which is what has happened. The lumber itself is much easier to get. The supply is there now. It's not readily available, but it's a lot easier than it was. So we saw a few cents pullback per board foot, pretty much across the board on many items. And with the rising fuel cost, of course, right now as we're recording, I think diesel fuel is at an all-time high, is really put the market back in turmoil, so to speak. And in fact, yesterday, the Hardwood Review was talking to me about that. And I said, I have no idea what's going to happen next week. Just in the shipping, a lot of our trucks are calling and saying, they give us a quote one day, they'll call the next day and say, hey, we can't ship it at that. We have to requote it or we're not picking it up.
No kidding.
So it's going to have a major, major impact on every item, not just lumber, but the domestic trucking is going to be a huge issue here in the next couple of weeks, in my opinion.
So you're talking about, and the reason for this being a huge issue is fuel prices. Is it labor driven as well?
Absolutely.
Because every truck out there has, are you interested in driving for our company? So it's fuel prices plus labor.
Yep. The labor was always there. There's been a shortage of truck drivers for some time now. And now you're adding the record diesel fuel prices and then the cost of government regulation on CDL truck drivers in on that. And just the three of them is making the shipping really at all-time highs. And just to get a truck to show up, it's changed how I'm ordering the material, plywood and lumber, in the fact that I'll call mills that I've known for years and say, listen, I understand you can't predict in 2 weeks what the shipping's going to be. So let's price it at your mill. You can give me a freight quote, but the day it picks up, I agree to pay whatever that freight quote is. And it involves a lot of trust between the buyer, being me, and my suppliers. In that, but we're all in it in the same boat. I can't have them lose money on the shipping and hold them to a price, because next week when I need something, they're either going to, one, make it back up on that order or refuse to sell me. So we're in the same boat on that.
So tell me this, with the price of lumber as it is today, particularly in your sector of it, in the hardwood sector, are you seeing demand decrease? It sounds like demand remains high as well.
Extremely high. There is, in white oak in particular, white oak is at record high prices, and it's selling as fast as we can get it in. And every load, I look at it, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be stuck on this load. No one's going to pay this for white oak. And by the time it shows up here, it's sold. The driving force, what I'm seeing, and that's what I was telling the Hardwood Market Review yesterday, was the plywood. It's the plywood and the secondary items that are now dictating how much lumber I can sell. If I don't have the plywood, a cabinet shop, furniture maker has a very hard time building their product. So it's very much dictated by, can they get the glue, the screws, the cabinet hardware, and the plywood. Not so much, there's not a lot of negotiating on price, even on theirs. They're like, oh, you have, the soft maple. Great. I need plywood to build the boxes.
Right.
Well, if I don't have the plywood, it doesn't matter the price of the lumber. I don't know. Something's got to get every one of my customers I'm talking to is, it's like we're like, okay, at some point we're going to hit a ceiling here where a set of cabinets is going to cost so much, people just aren't going to buy.
Right.
And I think we're close to that point. When your cabinet grade plywood is approaching $90, $100 a sheet, where 2 years ago it was $30, it adds a lot to the cost of a cabinet. So it is interesting.
It's incredible inflation that we're seeing right here. At some point, this, like you say, it's got to crest. It's got to come to a breaking point. Prior to us beginning the recording, you mentioned something about the political turmoil, the war in Ukraine. How is that impacting things?
Yes. So one of the products that comes out of the Ukraine is Baltic birch. Comes in 5x5 sheets and 4x8 sheets. Now, this is a product unlike any other product in the world. It's one, they're using more of the Russian birch trees, which looks real similar to a maple and an American birch. It's real white. It's a beautiful wood. But how they make that product is there's no voids in the core, and it's extremely stable. So for years, that was the go-to product for drawer boxes and cabinets and furniture, and it's also used as a substructure for laminated flooring, doors, anywhere where you needed an extremely stable product that's plywood. It made in the Ukraine. Now, all of a sudden in the last week or so, the Baltic birch has just skyrocketed to the point that our suppliers are saying, hey, we've got a few more units, but the price is so high, I'm not going to be able to sell that product for $200 a sheet.
No,
I mean, it's a $30
kidding.
sheet of plywood. Now it's $200. So we're saying, no, we're going to have to hold off on that. There's no way. And it's going to run out. Everyone that's using this knows that. So it's the big scramble to find what's going to make those drawer boxes now. Other types of plywood, domestic and import, they don't have the stability factor that the Baltic birch had. So it looks like it's going to be solid lumber, which adds back in one of the lumber species that everyone in the lumber industry is watching right now is a soft maple. Typically, in the winter months, stain will form in logs and lumber, and it's a defect. Typically, in winter months, sawmills will saw maples in the middle of the winter because of the cold weather keeps the log and the lumber from staining. And they'll store it through the summer, try to get through the hot summer months with what they cut in the winter. However, because of the labor shortage, you name it.
Yeah.
They haven't been getting the logs this year, even when they had the labor, because early on in the winter, up north, they had more of a warm, wet winter. They need the ground frozen to pull the logs out of the woods also. So there was a log shortage when they had the labor. Everything they have cut has sold, and out of the 7 or 8 mills I deal with maple, none of them have any maple.
Bert, it's just amazing the amount of the dominoes that continue to fall. Did you ever think that
it's
something
weird. You go from
that the Russian
what's going on in the Ukraine,
right?
Affect the soft maple. Everyone's looking at soft maple for drawer boxes, which is going to drive that demand way up.
So we got labor, we got inflation, we got Putin. Putin's making strange decisions that you never thought would impact you, and suddenly it's hitting your wallet in some form or another. We're coming up on a close. Go ahead.
That's funny you say that, because a lot of times I'm laying at bed at night and I say, I'm a Georgia boy, went to college in West Virginia, and now it's like I'm stuck in international trade, which is just wild to me to think that I have to keep an eye on Asian politics and European and Russian politics to dictate what I'm selling here in the South.
No kidding.
And it to me, sometimes that makes me worry a little bit that I might have the wrong guy doing this. But
Bert, tell people how they can find you. You got locations in South Alabama and Georgia. Tell them how they can find you.
Correct. Premier Lumber is what we call our mobile lumber yard. It's the newer lumber yard that we've started, and I'm modeling after the one here in Kennesaw, Georgia. And the address of Premier Lumber Products is 5880 I-10 Industrial Parkway South, Theodore, Alabama. And the office phone number there is 251-308-5437. And Mr. Jeff Heineman is my general manager there, and he's a lumber inspector also, like me. He is as knowledgeable, if not more knowledgeable, than me on lumber. He loves to talk about it. So if any of your viewers have a question, you can reach out to him or me, and we just love lumber. And he made a suggestion. I don't know if you want. If one of your viewers goes by and say they heard the show, he'll give them a 10% discount at the store if they buy anything.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Tell Jeff Heineman you heard him on the Cam show, and he'll give you a 10% discount.
Bert Scarbrough, thank you so much, Bert. I appreciate the update. We'll go to break here real quick. What's Working is presented by the Alabama Center for Real Estate, housed in the Culverhouse College of Business at the University of Alabama. When we come back from break, I'll have Billy Stitt with Billy's Bacon. We'll be right back.
Think about your home. What do you see? Do you just see two stories, or the stories of your toddler's first steps? Now think about your car. Do you see an odometer reading, or your kids reading in the back seat? Other insurance companies just see a house. They just see a car. But a State Farm agent sees what your home and your car really mean to you. So why not give them the protection they deserve?
You can reach me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, at AllisonHorner.com.
We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is brought to you by the Alabama Center for Real Estate, housed in the Culverhouse College of Business at the University of Alabama. On the line with me is perhaps one of my favorite people, certainly one of my favorite guests over the past several years, Billy Stitt. Billy's Bacon is absolutely a delicacy in our part of the world. It's cherished. I gave it to friends for Christmas, and you would have thought that I was some sort of king or messiah or something like that, with the happiness on their faces when they saw that gift. Billy, thank you for your time. Welcome back to What's Working.
I am happy to be here, Cam, always.
Well, the bacon subject is always one that people enjoy participating in. And as I was talking to Bert Scarbrough at the end of the last segment, I kind of queued you up, and he heard that. And after we stopped the recording, he said, "Hey, I got a question for Billy." He said, either his father or father-in-law thinks the way to cook his bacon is low and slow. However, my wife thinks it's a different way. And he says it's a constant conversation in their house of the best way to cook your bacon. He orders it in bulk quantities through mail order, is what he said. He's become a fan, and he found out about your bacon by listening to the show. So, Billy, tell me what you think the best way to cook Billy's bacon is.
Well, it's a good point. I love the fact that they're having a little bit of a little distraction in the house every morning talking about my bacon. There's if I'm cooking for just myself and a few family members, I'm going to do it in a skillet on a medium to low heat, the slice that is. And then if I'm cooking for a good group, 6 or more people, I'm going to probably use a sheet pan with a wire rack, just to raise it up so it's not just sitting there in its own juice. I'll put the oven on convection bake, if you have that, at 350. And I'll set the timer for 10 minutes. And that doesn't mean it's going to be done at 10 minutes, because every oven's different. But I'll start watching it, and then I'll set a timer for every 2 minutes after that, and I won't turn it or flip it. But when it looks like it's almost done, I'll take it out and let it finish just sitting up on the counter, because bacon keeps cooking even when you bring it out of the oven. You definitely don't want to overcook it. I like to treat it like a piece of ham.
This is a lesson we're all getting here, folks, from a bacon savant, a man who's telling us what we need to know. Billy, tell me about the business as a whole. You've given us some great insight on how to prepare it. How's Billy's Bacon doing? Are you getting distribution across the state, across the Southeast? Are some of the finer restaurants we talked about the last time beginning to take notice?
We are doing really well. We're being distributed by first U.S. Foods was our first distributor. Second was Benny Keith. And the third one we added was a little company called Peroni & Sons out of Metairie, Louisiana. And each one of those companies kind of handles different parts of the market. You know, some of them do restaurants, some of them focus on grocery stores, and some of them do both. So we've got several different ways to get it to you now. And that's mainly in the Southeast. Any grocery store in the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, panhandle of Florida area, and in Atlanta, if they want it, they can get it through those distributors with no problem. Mm-hmm. And then outside of that, we ship household orders through. You go through our website, and it takes you to our Goldbelly page, and that's enabled us to really, really grow because shipping's included now. It's not an add-on. And we have all these different varieties you can order from, sliced or unsliced. You can add a hat, T-shirt, stickers, all kind of swag. And through them, we're able to market and do promotions and fun stuff and do things that I couldn't do on my own. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. That's the part of growth. You're finding people that will help you out in the stuff that you may not like or that you may be bad at. Tell me this, has the supply chain issues hit you in any way? Are you able to find the pork bellies that you need, the pink salt that you need, all the ingredients you need to make this beautiful product?
We were lucky throughout. We had a couple of spells through the pandemic where bellies just weren't coming. And then they did come, but, I'm real picky on my specs for my bellies. So it's not like, I get emails all the time from these companies. Hey, I got 20,000 pounds of bellies at X amount of price. Can you take them? And, they're never the quality that I'm looking for. And, but my purveyors have done really well keeping us stocked. Packaging's gone up, pork bellies have gone up, salt, sugar, all of our ingredients have gone up. So we're fighting those battles, but, I've done a good job of keeping our price point within a fair margin.
Yeah. I got to imagine that fuel costs are going to impact you at some point. Those trucks that come down to Alabama. I think you told me you buy the bellies from, is it Iowa? Many of them come from Iowa?
Some southern Iowa, some southern Illinois, some Wisconsin.
Right.
I just, have certain specs that I require of my farmers, and I'm finding more and more of those. And then, of course, all I buy is the bellies right now until I find the right partner and I'm able to get this USDA grant that I'm working on. Y'all pray that happens. Until I'm able to build that facility that I really, really need to build. Yeah. We're just kind of plugging along, but in a good way. We've created a great product. We've got a great team. I'll just put it out there. I'm just looking for the right person that's not in a hurry, that wants to help me take this thing to the level it needs to go. And I'm not in a hurry. I just, I want to do this forever and, have something for my kids and my family. But I am looking for the right person to visit with and tell them my plan.
So tell me about that person. What would they do? Are you looking for a business manager? Is that what you're saying?
No, I've got that part down pat. I'm looking for the right partner that can, help me get the right property and build the facility that I need.
I see. Yeah. Would it be on the site where the restaurant is, or are you thinking someplace else?
Both.
Yeah. Considering all options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What is demand like? I remember you telling me that when you can get your bacon into the right positions in the grocery store, demand skyrockets. Have you been able to do that? What's demand like?
I mean, it doesn't matter how much bacon I make, it's sold. I mean, so demand is incredible. Now, in regard to placement in stores, where the stores that are the most successful with it is, if they place it next to the beef tenderloins or the whole ribeyes or the nice fine cut steaks, they win every single time. And then people really know where it is and how it goes. If they just kind of buried in the bacon section, it does okay. And it does, but we're not like most packs of bacon that have a window,
right,
and then are all shrink wrapped. Everything we do is hand wrapped. So it's much better when they put it next to the high-end meats.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Have you found any wonderful destinations where your bacon has been served? I think you told me you had in your mind, you had some destinations that you'd love to have your bacon served.
Well, we're kind of hitting a lot of those, and a lot of them I don't even know they're there because they're getting it through a distributor. And, some distributors won't even tell me who they sell it to, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, our ideal location is, we don't want to be everywhere in each community, but we want to be in the great places. We want to be in the place where somebody says, hey, you're taking somebody to dinner, whether it's a significant other or a business person. What are the top 3 places you want to go and we're to have the best dining experience? That's where I want my bacon. And then in regard to shops, we want to be in grocery stores where the butcher is someone you want to meet. Yeah. I mean, someone that, hey, when you go into ABC grocery store, you got to meet this guy or this girl because, they really, really know their products. Those are the places I want to be. I like little high-end boutique markets in Atlanta and out in Los Angeles and in Manhattan. And, in Chicago, there's some cool places. I like a place where when you walk in, they may not have 10, 15, 20 kinds of bacon, but they've got, 2 or 3 awesome ones.
Right. Some of the best.
Yeah.
You want to be hanging out with those people. Well, Billy, I put you in my forthcoming book. My expectation is the book will be available probably in April. It's in the book design phase as we speak right now. I've sent the manuscript and suggestions for cover design and everything. And the book designers are working on it. And it's a long process, not real long, but they told me to expect 3 weeks between when they receive all the materials. But the point is, your story is so wonderful to me. And you repeated part of it again. You're not in a hurry. There's no real reason to rush this. You love what you're doing. You're going to take your time with it. You've broken some rules, some bacon rules. For example, the window on the bacon. That's no reason to do that. And I feature your story in my forthcoming book. And as soon as I get a copy of that thing, I'm definitely going to send you a copy of it because I'm proud to know you and I'm very proud of your success. Folks, if you don't know about Billy's Bacon, I want you to take a look. Billy, tell people how they can find you.
You can easily drive over to Fairhope, Alabama on the eastern shore of the Mobile Bay. We're about 11 miles off Interstate 10 if you take Highway 181 heading south, which is kind of a little back road shortcut down to the beach if you're going to Orange Beach or Gulf Shores, or Foley for the outlets, for example. If you're looking for us online, go to our website, BILLES bacon.com. And then, just pick up the phone and call me. My number's everywhere, or email me at billy@billysbacon.com. Or just come visit. And if you've got some business people that want to come by for fun or family for a little tour, we'll set that up also.
Folks, it's well worth it. And the story is fantastic. However, the story is supported by a wonderful product. From me to you, I promise it's a wonderful product. Billy, wonderful to connect with you again, my friend. Best of luck. I'll send you a book as soon as it's available.
Always great to hear from you, Cam, and keeps getting the good word out there for everybody.
Thank you. I'll continue to do so. We'll be back after this break, everybody, with final comments. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is brought to you by the Alabama Center for Real Estate at the Culverhouse College of Business at the University of Alabama.
A cool thing happened back in '64. That's when Keith Air Conditioning opened their doors. And ever since then, they've earned your family's trust, fixing your AC when it bites the dust.
It's hotter than hot season, and for 3 generations, Keith has earned your trust during the hottest time of the year. Every Keith technician is an expert, because when the heat's the worst, you need the best. So turn to the 2 names you can count on, Keith and Carrier.
Mobile's leading name in comfort since 1964.
License number 83731.
Hey, this is Chuck Thus. When I'm not hosting chart-topping podcast Warriors Unmasked or coaching athletes to show up as the best version of themselves, I'm listening to What's Working with Cam Marston. Now back to the show.
What's Working is brought to you by the Alabama Center for Real Estate at the Culverhouse College of Business at the University of Alabama. When I find guests like this that have an interesting story to tell, and my sense from meeting and talking with them is that they've put their heart and soul into something. They've put their heart and soul into a goal, and they've invested themselves fully in it. It tends to have a gravitational pull, meaning that people around them, people that hear about them, want them to succeed, and they begin to offer help in order to assist these people in their success. And I was listening to a podcast about this one time. This guy made a reference to it. He says it increases your luck surface area. The harder you work and the more you appropriately tell people about how hard you're working and what your goals are and what you're willing to do to achieve those goals, you increase your own luck surface area. Good things begin to come your way. A cosmic connection or something like that, I have no idea. But it increases your luck surface area. And from time to time, I've tried it myself in my own business to let people know what I'm going for and what I'm trying to do and the help that I need and how much I'm investing in both my energy and my spirit as well as my dollars in order to make this happen. And it works every time. It increases your luck surface area. It's really quite the phenomenon. And all 3 of these guests, Carla and Bert and Billy, are doing everything they can, and I find that I can't help but cheer for them and want to support them. They're good people. I've met them. I've sat with each of them. If you have a fondness for the Carpenters, if you remember Karen Carpenter from back in the day, I want you to go online and Google Carla Williams or go to Spotify, Carla Williams, and listen to this and support her. Do her right. She's doing a great thing. If you have a need for hardwood and you're in Southwest Alabama, give Bert's company a chance and mention my name, the show's name, 10% discount considering the price of lumber. Everybody will take it considering the price of hardwood. And my goodness, if you think you know about bacon and you've not tried Billy's bacon, then you don't know about bacon. Go give some of that. Order it online. If you're not in Southwest Alabama, order it online, have them ship it to your door, and on a Saturday morning, treat your people to some of the bacon the way Billy described cooking it. I'm confident you'll find this to be exceptional. That'll wrap us up. Find me online. Find me in the social media world, Cam Marston. And oftentimes it's Cam Marston 1. Email me directly. Let me know what you think. I'm always interested in your feedback. cam@cammarston.com. That'll wrap us up. John Thompson is the show's producer. We'll have another show next week. Have a good week, everyone.